quality talk shows. It's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, step back, get away from the sides of the curb. We are here to have another fabulous Tech Cat show. And here today, and it took a long time to get him because he's so busy and so amazing, but I have Mr. Mark
Kapczynski.
Mark is who I'm calling the venture capitalist dude because Mark has spent many years working in a variety of businesses in the media technology space. He spent some time at Microsoft. He just finished a long gig at Experian. And now he's doing his own thing, investing in companies, helping companies build, in this media technology space. And he's also a longtime friend.
Yay.
And I can never say his last name, so I just call him Mark.
Mark K.
Mark K. And
it
Mark,
all routes to me somehow.
That's right. It all comes to him. And Mark is also this insane cook. And also, what do you call people that are like winos? What do you call people that are really into wine?
Vinophiles?
Vinophiles, yeah. You go to his house and you just can't walk out not wasted because the man has the most extensive wine collection. And he forces down your throat with the funnel.
All right.
You just created a wonderful picture of me.
That's right. He's really smart on the business side, and he's a foodie. You can't have more than that.
There you go.
So, Mark, let's jump right into your life. This is your life.
Oh, boy.
All right, and our studio audience, let's hear a word from some applause from our studio audience. Cause,
got it.
The women usually go mad.
They go crazy
They
for
go
it?
crazy, yeah.
I love it.
They love when I have the smart men on the show. So, Mark, tell us about what you do because it's kind of fascinating, and I think it's symbolic of where our industry is, which is you have your hands in a lot of places, your fingers in a lot of pies, all kind of circling around your past experience. And it's because you have this insider perspective on building things that I think really feeds into what you're doing. So give us some background on what you're up to.
Sure. So, I mean, some of the things that I'm working on right now, I help manage UCLA's venture capital fund, which is a great organization because it is a volunteer organization. And it's just so great to be around the UCLA students in that community and help them figure out how to take their great ideas and build them into products and businesses.
So you're helping students?
Students and recent graduates primarily.
Oh, neat. Figure out what they're going to do and what they should invest in or spend their time on. Or
UCLA, actually, so I'm a UCLA graduate myself, so part of it is a way of giving back. And, UCLA students, they have so many different programs that they can access to get money, get resources to go build companies. And so this is just one way we try to help foster entrepreneurship through UCLA.
Wow, and I would think your billable time is pretty high, so that's pretty good.
But you know what, though, too? I mean, I guess one thing in general that I love, and I think you do so well, too, is it's just networking. You get to meet, young entrepreneurs now. Yes. And like yesterday, we were doing a pitch competition, and I'm sitting next to a guy who actually was the creator of Kookaroo.
Get out.
And then he more recently started Color Me Mine, the store where you
God.
it's like your kids and my kids both go
those are two of my favorite places in the world. I mean, I've spent most of my 20s at Kookaroo. Yeah. Just, hanging out, and I go to Color Me Mine once a week now.
Yeah, and so
I want his number.
I will give it to you. I'll connect you via email because
okay.
I was like, I think I get a rebate for all the stuff I've bought from Color Me Mine over the years
That's
too.
Right.
So.
That's so cool. Because I know also I like to be around young minds too. I'm teaching now at Loyola once a week, and I'm always blown away by how much they know and don't know.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing to be around young minds, and then also. You get intimidated that millennials are going to take over the world, but then you realize they haven't done anything yet, so they still need help.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that comes out of it is there's so many people, and maybe this is not just students and young folks, but in general, it's like people have great ideas, and like they're always coming up with some new idea. I tend to think that it falls though into that new product idea, and not really a new business idea.
Right.
And I think there's such a
True.
distinction between, hey, I have a cool product idea, but is it a business? And what I always tell the students is like, great, you came up with some new product idea, but investors invest in businesses.
Right.
If you just want money for your product, that's actually called charity. So,
But that's a really smart distinction, because I do think we tend to all think about the outcome as opposed to this bigger
That's right.
storytelling that we want to do. So your background is what? You went to UCLA,
yeah,
and then
I graduated with the logical degree of cinematography, which naturally equipped me, to go work in technology at Microsoft, do a bunch of startups, and
but you ended up at Microsoft for a while,
7 years I was
and
there.
you
yeah.
wrote a famous book.
I wrote 4 actually.
4 books on video coding and technology, right?
Microsoft Exchange and
All
Internet
those
Information Server.
Yeah, that's crazy.
so-
When I first met Mark, he was like Mr. Microsoft guy. And he had written all these books, and he was like the guy to talk to about Microsoft. And look where you are now.
I'm still partially the Microsoft guy.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm a Windows 10 insider right now.
Are
There
you
you go.
really?
Yeah.
You and like 2 others or something.
I know, right?
I have my Mac, but run Windows on it.
And then,
so,
so after Microsoft, you went and you created your own video company.
that's right.
And I forget the
video
name of it.
technology. It was called MeSoft, Media
That's
and
right.
Entertainment Software.
And that was really one of the first, we would call them dams now, sort of, but one of the first sort of content management
Yeah.
solutions for video.
Yeah, our whole idea was there was a concept called digital workflow that was brewing, which was like how you make a movie or a TV show entirely with digital, and digital meaning data, not videotape of sorts or digital
Right.
videotape. And so we tried to improve that whole process and say, let's help capture the moving image to spinning hard drives as data and take it
That
all
was
the way
early.
through. It was early. I thought I timed it right. I was,
Right.
It's still 5 years too early. So.
But when you're starting these new companies, is there always a way it goes down? Like, you're going to have to just get space
badly.
somewhere and just hire people that are just really into it but not wanting to make a lot of money. Like, is there just a pattern of how you start these companies and how you know it's going to go down?
Yeah, well, it sort of gets me back even to the UCLA thing, which is what I always tell the students too, which is, you got to love what you do,
Right.
because this is not the best way to make money. If you want to make money and have a job, this is not the way to do it.
These startups
This
are
is,
not
yes,
the way.
This
right.
is not the way to do it.
But
There's
you
a lot
get-
easier things in life.
And the way that you pick what you're going to attack in this industry is because you see a trend bubbling up? Is that how?
Yeah, I think it's kind of I think passion really plays a big piece of it. You have to have passion about something, and then you try to build that or merge that into a particular trend or theme that you're seeing in maybe 1 or 2 industries,
Right,
and then
right.
sort of map that into a problem that either we as consumers or businesses have. So it's sort of, what are you passionate about? What's a trend? And what's a problem? And if you can stitch those 3 things
Right.
together, you may have the genesis of a great business. Yeah.
A business, and that's the storytelling you're talking
Yeah.
about. So it's not just one of those 3 things. And
no.
you're saying a lot of the students have one of them usually.
Yeah, they have some great product idea,
Right.
but then they don't know how to build a team, and they don't know if it's the right thing, and
Right.
they don't know
Or
how
if
to
it's
do,
even solving a problem that is
Yeah.
out there in the world. Okay, so you
or even the competitive side. Are
Yeah.
there competitors?
right,
for
to somebody
what
already
this-
on the
yeah,
marketplace.
exactly.
Right, I know. It's really interesting that it is a whole mindset.
Yeah.
So all right, so you did your time at MeSoft, and then did you go to Experian next?
No, I did. I worked for a couple startups. So I worked for a startup in the ad tech space called I Wonder. It
Oh,
was,
I remember I Wonder.
Yeah, it was
okay.
like rich media advertising. So
Right,
that
right.
was great. That got sold off, and had a great time doing that.
Right, I
I
remember
worked
that.
for another startup that was doing some work in like predictive analytics and machine learning, and so I kind of started getting more into big data, I guess.
Right.
And then I was called by the credit bureau. Nothing more exciting than go work for the credit bureau.
So you went to Experian,
I
but
went
you
to-
had an exciting job.
I
at
did.
Experian.
I did. I joked because I had no idea what I was getting into, and I was
So
just
what was
fortunate.
what was your title there?
So I was vice president of corporate development and strategy for their consumer business. And so, fortunately, a great longtime personal friend of mine, Mike Dean, was group president of that whole business. And, he offered me an amazing role and opportunity to learn from him
business.
about that business,
Right.
customer acquisition, product design. I mean, he really, I can't think of a great mentor for even myself than this gentleman. I mean, he really helped focus me on how to really design a product, focus on what's the one thing it does. And the phrase that he used to always tell me from a consumer standpoint was, what's it going to take for a consumer to get up off the couch and basically go do whatever it is that you're
go
offering.
do this thing, do this thing, and then how do you keep them engaged in
and
that
then
thing?
that's the whole
'Cause
separate
retention,
battle.
right.
But like getting them off the couch in the first place,
Right.
that's like the big battle, right?
Well, getting me off the couch is certainly a big battle. Maybe if you wave chocolate, it's a different thing. Did he ever say wave chocolate and that
No.
will help make your business a success? I think that should be taught in business
No,
school.
but he was the one that came up with the freecreditreport.com
Oh, really?
videos and stuff. Yeah, so all the band and everything.
So he really got what the gestalt of sort of how
Yeah.
people think about their credit.
That's right.
And then you were looking at businesses for Experian to buy that were
That's right.
related to the credit business, or how
So
did it
my
all?
whole job was basically, they had this core business around consumer credit.
Yeah.
People would go to freecreditreport.com and check their credit report and score. And I was like, what else can we now offer to make the experience that much more compelling? How do we add more features into it? What else can we do to enhance the experience? And also, what are the adjacencies that go along with
What
that?
are the other businesses that are cropping
Yeah,
up around?
like if you're doing credit, what else goes with credit? So
Right.
maybe like bill payment goes with credit, or other things that go with credit.
And being an entrepreneur, it just kind of, you learned as you were doing it, because it's not like you did this before.
No, I had no experience in
That's
consumer
amazing.
credit. Well, I guess I had experience the wrong way. Like I maxed out my credit card starting
Right.
my last
Did
startup.
did it teach you something about how to manage your own credit?
No.
I'm going to talk
Can
to
we
your
blank
wife
that
about
out? Yeah, I was going to say, can we not let Aaron hear that
That's
last comment?
right.
That's why Aaron pays the bills,
Right,
actually.
right.
I'm not allowed to.
go near it.
That's right.
Because you know all the secrets.
That's
too.
right.
You know. So you leave Experian because you start to see a trend and a technology opportunity, which is what
Yeah.
you're focusing on now. So tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Well, I think a personal interest for me was I didn't think I had a lot of experience in my past on mobile, and obviously mobile's so pervasive in everything we do as consumers.
Yeah.
So for me, the passion was centered around mobile. I wanted to be in mobile. And then combined with new experiences around data and analytics, that side, the experience
which you
side
had
of the
just
house.
spent a couple
That's
years.
right.
Right.
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah.
So learning a lot about that whole space. Those two things were the maybe the genesis, and then the trend that I saw was this thing called beacons or iBeacons popping up, and there was a lot. It was kind of buzzworthy, about a year ago.
Right.
And so I started doing research, and I was like, how do you tie mobile, beacons, and
Can
data
you explain
together?
what beacons are to folks that don't know
Sure.
what they are?
So beacons are something that Apple.
Keyword here, buzzword, sound effect. Oh, he's working on the sound
He's
effect.
working
I'm
on
telling you.
What sound of what? I'm sorry.
A beacon sound
Oh,
effect.
okay, maybe.
Nice. I like that. All right, every time
I'm
you
going to
say
add that to my website.
that's right.
Like that?
Every time you say beacon now, you'll
Got
know
it.
that's right. All right, so beacons are
Beacon.
it's powerful.
Nice.
Sound is powerful.
Can I take them home with me?
Yes, absolutely.
So the thing that we saw with the B word was that what they do is basically they're like a little radio transmitter.
Okay.
In a little plastic casing of some sort, and they just broadcast out a very simple signal over a protocol called BLE, or Bluetooth Low Energy.
So it's Bluetooth is what
It's a form of Bluetooth.
Okay.
So it has incredible range, though. So some beacons can go.
Oh. It's going to interrupt the flow of the conversation if I keep doing
All
it.
right, we'll stop it. So what it could broadcast up to like 200 meters.
Wow.
And so we were looking at this compared with all other kind of NFC and RFID chips.
The other sort of transmittal
That's right.
formats that are sending messages to people's phones.
We looked at beacons are so cheap and cost effective to
Yeah.
purchase. You could buy them at scale. They have this incredible range.
And I think most consumers have heard about them in Apple stores.
In some form, yeah.
Right. Like when you walk into the Apple store and it sends you a message that you can like buy something.
Right.
It lets you buy right then and there,
Right.
that kind of thing. Okay.
And so the whole idea was, that's great for a retail experience in store, and someone like Apple can command sort of the
Right, 'cause
the ability to
they own the
they
whole
own the whole
thing.
experience,
Right.
right? But it's like, how do you bring that to the masses and to even like some little dry cleaner down the street from you, and
Right.
just any retailer or any restaurant?
Right.
And so our idea was like, what if we could buy 5 million beacons and deploy them across the major DMAs across the United States, and basically have everything now
Beaconed.
beaconed and discoverable.
Can you imagine if, like, every time you came across your 5 million beacons that you heard that noise? That would be so.
I didn't want to get annoying. That's why I'm not pressing it as much.
But what I love about beacons from a strategist and a marketer's perspective is if you can finally, at that last 10 feet in the store or when I'm getting to wherever I'm going, if you can incentivize me to engage with a product, a story, a piece of content further,
right.
and it's not like pop-up ads.
That's right.
It's really targeted to you. Right.
Well, and I think the thing is there's different ways you can engage with it. You could almost take the Shazam model where, like, I actively want to push a button
and
to
Shazam
remember that.
is the app that you use to listen, to hear music, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're expanding their capabilities now. And so, now that, imagine I could Shazam a restaurant that I'm interested in and sort of discover that restaurant, put it in my tag list and research it later and see if that's the place I want to take,
That's
Erin
cool.
to
So that's
or
kind of what I do with, I'm glad that you said your wife's name, by the way. So you're thinking
Wait,
about
did I
her.
get the name right?
Yeah, as the person that you want to take out. But so that means that, because that's what I love about Shazam. When I hear a song I like, I don't have to find out about it right then, but I'm
That's
always
right.
worried I'm not going to remember that
That's
song.
right.
So
And
then
it's
later,
one button. It's one button.
Right, and later I go back and I do look
That's
at
right.
what I Shazammed.
You tagged it, yeah.
What I tagged. So
Yeah.
you're saying now with beacons plus the Shazam functionality?
Like, wouldn't that be cool if you were just driving down the street and you see a restaurant or a store or something that you're interested in, you could just Shazam it?
I would like to Shazam people because I can't remember names to save my life.
Well, that's you could do that too. As more people start to have beacons on them.
Right,
and maybe
Mark actually beaconed me at the Consumer Electronics Show. So I was actually walking
you're the
around
beacon.
with
You
the tag.
are a beacon.
I am a beacon. Now, not a lot of people had the app to receive that transmission yet, but you talk to me a lot about where it's going, where it will be ubiquitous on our phones. So can you talk about that?
I think that's where it has to go, because today you don't want to have to download a custom app for one
to receive a beacon message.
Why would you want to do that?
Right.
I wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
So our focus is really, how do we partner with people? How do we partner with those big apps? How do we partner with someone like a Shazam and enable them to create a new experience within their app, or partner with someone like Yelp or Groupon?
Right.
Or
So
Pinterest.
apps and things that already have distribution
and are
add in
relevant for
and
you.
are relevant, especially in a location situation. Give them the beacon functionality.
That's right.
So I don't have to download a new app.
That's right.
I just get an update, and all of a sudden, an app I'm already using now has more vitality.
That's right.
And more relevance.
That's right.
I love that.
And then we provide the
Let's do that.
We provide the infrastructure to get.
I'll
it
write
to
you a
scale.
check right
Okay.
now.
Get the checkbook out.
All right. So this was the problem you saw.
Yeah.
The technology solution, and then the long-term business is to build out the beacon thing.
The beacon network and the distribution of our software.
Across.
SDK, basically software development
So
kit.
everyone can utilize it.
Yeah, it's
so
so
cool.
we use the analogy. I don't know if it's a good one or a bad one, but it's like Akamai.
Mm-hmm.
Akamai put all the servers out. You didn't have to go buy a bunch
They
of
were
servers.
they're an edge server, so that websites look
That's
good
right.
everywhere.
Yeah, and video streaming and so on.
Right.
Right. No one buys servers anymore and sets up their own streaming.
Right.
Now you just buy into someone like
Who's
an
already
Akamai.
doing it. So you're
Right.
going to be the
So
beacon.
we want to be like the beacon network, like an Akamai.
So you're going to be the ubiquitous beacon network that I can then leverage if I have a
right.
solution.
Yeah.
It's so smart.
Or you want to, to us, the way beacons have been deployed so far, great in Apple Store,
Yeah.
but what about every other store that
Right,
isn't Apple?
right.
Really hard to get the adoption.
Right.
So now, by having access to the network and the distribution infrastructure already in place, now you're just buying in.
Right.
And now we enable lots of great use cases and applications and services for consumers to get that much better.
Because I remember talking to a big packaged goods company that's in the snacking business, and their stress on doing this was both the retail environment. Where do they put the beacon? They don't own the footprint in the store.
Right.
So they were going to stick it on shelves, but then is Target going to let them? And then secondly, what app do
Right.
they hit? Is
That's
Target
right.
going to let them have their app and their...
Well, and it predisposes that the consumer's already going to Target
Yeah.
and is interested in whatever this product is
Right.
and has downloaded an app
Yeah.
and like 50 other things. It's like never going to happen.
Right. So you have to make it ubiquitous.
Right.
And
So our whole thing is we got to get the infrastructure out there. We got to find those partnerships and get people on board sharing the infrastructure. And then we enable this sort of world of discovery where now, I personally love Korean barbecue. So like if I'm driving down the street, I want to be alerted that, hey, there's a great restaurant. It's got, 4 or 5 stars
And you've
on
told-
Yelp, and
told
like
Yelp
I want to.
you like that.
Yeah, I've told Yelp I like Korean barbecue, so surface that for me and
God, I love
inform
that.
me that it's there, and then let me like one button
So
Shazam
this
it
is
for
the
later.
location-based services that we've been talking about for
Yeah.
years, but now it can finally happen, and it's not going to be based on signal coming from, these old
GPS or
yeah,
something,
old
yeah.
school sort
Yeah.
of frameworks that they would drop
That's right.
down.
Yeah.
This is going to be your phone giving you information, or
That's
maybe
right.
even in your car, right? It'll happen in your car
And
too.
it's all consumer opt-in, so you're opting in, and you're making the choice that this is what you want to receive, and so on. So I think it's very mindful about those kind of things.
And that's
as well.
that's location X.
That's
the
location
concept.
X, yeah.
So you had the trend, you had the business, the product idea, and then the bigger business strategies.
Yeah.
So
And ultimately, it's a data business, right?
It's
So
a
the
data,
infrastructure
right.
is great, but ultimately the data that we accumulate, and like kind of a riff off of what you do, right? It's about telling stories.
Right.
It's about telling the story of what did Lori do today,
Right.
and how can a marketer use that information to better provide goods and services to you.
Lori, yeah.
Yeah, in a meaningful way that
Right.
will actually get you to engage in some
Right.
sort.
I think if a brand could find a way to cure my spilkus, which I've had for a month, get me sleep.
Is that actually a word?
Spilkus? It comes from dead people. A culture of the Yiddish people. So now let's go on to our next segment, which is called our top trend segment.
Okay.
And here we are exploring sound effects eternally here at the Tech Trend Show. Nice. The top trend segment.
Ask and you shall receive.
That's right. So in your mind, I know you just talked about this already,
Yeah.
but what do you think are some of the top trends happening now in the media tech space? So we've talked about beaconing. What else do you see bubbling up there that to you is going to really resonate and really explode?
Yeah, so I mean, funny, I think there's things that are even beyond, just media and tech.
Yeah,
I mean,
tell me. I wanna hear it all.
Because I think media and tech is, and I used to try to pontificate about this, I guess, when I was at Microsoft.
Yeah.
Media and tech is...
To yourself or in your head?
To whoever would listen, right, which is usually my wife or something. Barely. No, but the whole idea is like media and tech it's an industry,
Yeah.
but it's also technology, and I think
Yes.
it's kind of cool. So I always thought of like, how do you take media tech and apply it into sort of other actual industries
Oh, good,
to
okay.
make those experiences better and more interesting.
Right.
So like one of the things, just as a side,
Yeah.
maybe partially came from my days at Experian that I just thought was like really kind of fascinating was bill payment.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm like the only person on the planet that thinks about this. But
No, we all think about it. Like
But, like,
half
we
half
all-
of the time is like, I forgot to pay my bills again.
Yeah, but like
Such a
like
pain
we
in the
bank
ass.
at Wells Fargo, so
Yeah.
you go to Wells Fargo, and it's like this boring like DOS level interface.
Right,
It's
right.
like wow, we're going 10, 15
Right.
years back.
It's not fun.
It's not fun. It's
Right.
not interesting. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
And they
it's,
make it as painful as it is.
That's right.
I mean, it's painful to
Yeah.
give money to other people.
and
they
like
make it
like
painful.
little things like you can't pay some of your bills with credit cards, even though you have a credit card from Wells Fargo.
Right,
You
right,
have to
right, right.
Draw it from ACH. So
Right.
like it's a simple thing.
And sometimes
But,
the
like,
Chrome browser doesn't work, and sometimes it does, and
so like
shoot
why
me in
haven't
the
we
head.
fixed bill payment?
Yeah, why haven't we?
It's like, and what's funny is like 15 plus years ago when I was at Microsoft launched the first online bill payment service.
Right.
Like 15 plus years ago.
What was that called?
It was like ESBB or something like
Yeah.
that.
A very
and
marketable name.
Yeah. It wasn't a consumer service. It was a
Right.
platform. And then
Right.
eventually a company called Fiserv bought it. And then now Fiserv actually powers the different banks from behind the scenes.
Okay, so
they're like a
that's-
technology, like
Got
a
it.
SaaS
Like a
platform.
B2B
Yeah.
kind
So
of
like when you go to
okay.
whatever, like B of A or something,
Yeah.
you're not really using B of A. It's this Fiserv platform.
Okay.
But
But you know a lot.
I know it's scary sometimes, but like the thing is like, how come we haven't taken like best practices from media and tech and these great consumer experiences that we're creating
Something
over there?
that's swipeable and
Totally.
visual and intuitive.
Super easy,
right.
mobile, and bring
Yeah.
that into
Bill pay.
something as mundane as bill payment.
Which Apple Pay could be if everyone would
Could be.
freaking adopt it already. you
Well, what
know?
about PayPal? I mean, why isn't people picking it up with PayPal?
Yeah, I mean, PayPal again, in some ways, is similar to what you're talking about. It's that
Yeah.
boring
It's old school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think?
I don't know. So I mean, I don't know if I have the exact answer, but I think part of it is like we have to draw lessons from these other industries and bring it into some of these more mundane things.
So if anyone has money they'd like to invest in this space, come to Mark.
I learned plenty about the space, so happy to help someone else go after. But I think, there's something about, bill payment and how we, manage our finances that no one's cracked the nut on how to make paying your bills and dealing with finances and dealing with your credit a fun and interesting thing that's part of, what you do in life.
Well, I love that because so often I'm talking to B2B companies who forget that it's really, in the end, B to B to C.
Right.
The C is still there, and so they have to think more C, and they don't. They get so caught up in we're an enterprise solution, but the truth is we're human beings who are doing the B. So we need to think
Or they
more.
overload the technology to cram every feature into something, and they forget hey, a consumer actually has to use it.
So I love that. So take media and entertainment insights around experiences and bring that to more B2B ideas.
Like the swipe, the quick click. I mean, media and entertainment is so rapid paced, right? It's so fast. You can get so much done.
Right. And it's sensual. It really is sensual and tactical and rewarding.
And it's personalized. It's geared towards you. So.
And it's pretty now.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it's just like Snapchat launching publisher channels. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I love that. So Snapchat just launched Discover, where Cosmopolitan and Nat Geo and all these publishers now have Snapchat channels. And here is a great college student story. So we're talking about Discover at Loyola the other night, and this guy raises his hand, one of the 20-year-old guys, and he says, look, I just got to tell you, I would never pick up a Cosmopolitan, save my life. Like, he's a heterosexual guy who would never go near Cosmopolitan. And he said it was on Snapchat.
Did you ask him if he had a girlfriend?
No, I didn't, because I'm married and that would be inappropriate.
Even for you?
Yes, especially I do know boundaries in a situation where I could be sued. If we were outside the classroom environment, I would have asked him. But we were inside the classroom.
Got it, okay.
But he said, I would never pick up a Cosmopolitan. I have no interest in it. But it was on Snapchat, my platform of choice, and I clicked on Cosmo, the Snapchat channel, and I actually saw some stuff that I was interested in. And I was like, see, that's the deal. These publishers are so smart because they're speaking in their language. Yeah.
Well, I think it speaks to content is king. I firmly believe that.
And you've got to find the right engagement tools.
And now it's how do we take this great content in so many different forms and now put it in these other experiences. And it's not, I think, the thing that I always got frustrated about the entertainment industry is I think their thought of taking content and moving it to other platforms was just basically well, you just re-encode it, so now it plays back in the same exact way on the iPad as it did somewhere else.
The old take the 30-second spot and stick it on YouTube.
Yeah,
and,
it's
hope for the best.
Yeah, that does nothing. It's really about understanding the dynamics of each of those new platforms, or Snapchat and so on, and what's the experience that the consumer has there, and how do I now bring my content into that world? Yeah. I mean, I think that's where a real big opportunity still lies.
And they need to be, these brands need to be nimble because they can't wait for other people to do it, or somebody else will disrupt their channel, their idea.
Now it's so easy, with the makers of the world and all the MCNs. I mean, it's so easy to create content and get it massively distributed.
Right.
That now,
as long as it's good.
Right. But now those guys will be much more innovative about sneaking content into these other
places.
Channels of distribution, whatever.
It's so smart. Yeah. So what do you think about, just getting back to trends and things that are exploding right now, what do you think about what's going on with Dish's Sling TV and the unbundling of cable? So now I can go, and I'm asking this because you and I talk about this all the time, but and we're all obsessed about this on this side of the business. I mean, I know consumers are just I don't have to buy cable anymore. But the truth is, do you think that this is really going to disrupt the whole thing? And then I'll just go and I'll pick Food Network, ESPN, and HBO, and I'll just pay my $20 for those 3 things that I really watch.
Yeah.
Or are we still going to be buying the bundles because we don't know any better? Or what do you think is going to happen there?
So I always try to use ESPN, not just that I'm a sports fan and like the Patriots will win this weekend.
Oh, that's
just as an FYI.
Tell everybody where you're from.
I'm originally from Boston, born in Boston, from Boston. I remember Steve Grogan. Like I'm a real fan here.
Say it in the accent though. Say it like who's gonna?
Well, my mom's from New Bedford, so.
Okay, there it is.
It comes out.
Because I went to school there, and I remember being called in Boston at Tufts, and I remember being called, "Hey, Laurie, get in your car. Let's go to Harvard, get a drink." And I'd be like, "My mom told me to only hang out with dentists or doctors. Are you one of those?" "Okay, I can't hang out with you. Sorry." She would say to me, "Go to the Tufts dental school and hang out there." And I'm like, "I'm a drama major. Why would I go to the dental school?" And she's like, "You're not thinking about your future."
You have to get your MRS degree.
That's right. That's right. Shut up. Anyway, all right. So you're a Patriots fan. Yep.
So I'm a Patriots fan, but what I was going to say about ESPN, I'm a huge ESPN fan and junkie. Aaron certainly knows that and probably hates that. But the thing that they've done is they've integrated this amazing personalized experience where now I can virtually get the same experience that I want around the teams and things that are of interest to me, whether it's on TV or on my iPad or on my iPhone
So do you
or on the web.
subscribe to some sort of ESPN thing?
Well, we're on DirecTV because we need the NFL channel, so or the NFL package rather.
Right, but do you think that will always be the case, or will
if I could get the NFL package and see my Patriots play in a different way or on a different system, I'd switch in a heartbeat, because then we would pick and choose the things that we're most interested in.
Right, because the other day the Islanders are doing really well right now, and that was my childhood team. And so I said to my husband, Scott, I want to subscribe to the NHL. Yeah, and it was like $100, and there's only 3 months left or 2 months left, and he's like, "We're not doing that." And I'm like, "But I want to see the Islanders kick everyone's ass, because it's their last year in Nassau Coliseum." And I'm like, "Come on, I want to watch it." And he's like, "It's $100." So that felt a little too much to me this late in the season.
Sure.
But I still want to watch the game. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting too. Will everyone pay those prices?
Yeah. Well, I think there's still exploratory work without, like buy a game on demand or one at a time.
Because I would do that.
Yeah, would you buy one game for $10 if you really wanted to see it when you could see it?
Yeah, I would. I totally would. I would.
But I think it comes back to, it's about creating those new experiences and making it convenient and easy and just a great experience. I mean, I love what ESPN has done. It's so rich in the whole, I get all the stats, I get everything about the sports that I'm interested in, or the teams that I'm interested in. I get the video, I get the everything. And I think that's the lesson learned that I think some of the other cable networks especially need to think about, is like, how do I have that same sort of personalized, take it with me, always tailored to me experience no matter where I go.
Right.
And I'd pay for that.
Right. And you are right now to a certain extent. And ESPN is one of the networks they announced on this Sling environment that you can just buy separately.
That's great.
And I
think even sorry to cut you. I mean, I think a lot of people praise like HBO Go.
Yeah.
And I think they really played off of the convenience factor. It's now convenient.
Yes.
But it's not personalized.
Right.
Like you get into HBO Go and you have to like sift through.
You have to find your thing.
Yeah. It's like,
it doesn't know who you are.
Why do I have to do the work? The comparison between like Go and ESPN is ESPN knows what I like now.
So you have a username and a profile on ESPN, and when you launch it, the channels you like come up.
Yeah, all the sports stuff related to
on every platform.
Every platform.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome.
So on you have DirecTV.
I have DirecTV. Yeah.
So when you launch the ESPN channel on DirecTV.
Well, not the live, the live feed, but like they have apps and stuff like that. So the over the top.
Okay, so the over the top stuff, you log in, you authenticate yourself, and it gives you your personal experience.
Yep, and they have now like 10 years of history on me, so they know all the.
That's
things
like
that
Amazon for me and all the Amazon stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. That's interesting. Are they the best, you think, right now?
I think they're the Cadillac of the industry, really embracing that notion of personalization and customization.
And they can, because it's such contagious content and it's such a big, huge fan base.
But I think as the TV industry is changing, fast, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many niche channels now, like Food Network and cooking, right, has their niche within that space. I mean, why can't they do the same thing within the cooking space? Right. Like their app is so disconnected from the live stream experience.
You're absolutely right, and they are one of the folks that have launched on the Snapchat channel. But you're right, it's not personalized. I would like always to be shown low carb, low sugar
Sure.
meals, just because, you know, I'm trying not
Yeah.
to kill myself in a
Yeah.
couple of years.
And you get something that's like, hey, load up on the butter, you know.
Right, and I'm always like, I'm trying to also figure out how to do a Boolean search in these things and add in low carb, low sugar, because a lot of times those
Yeah.
two don't balance,
Well,
or
and it's like,
gluten free, or whatever it is. My thing is.
So,
you know?
you mentioned I love to cook, so
Yes.
I have a bunch of recipes in my recipe box
You're
at
a
Food Network.
fabulous
Thank you
cook.
very much.
You
I
just show up at
appreciate
his house and you saddle up to his kitchen counter, and the next thing you know, you're being served like stuff.
It's so much fun. I love
Yeah,
it. I
yeah.
love it. But like, here's a good example. I have all my recipes from Food Network in the Food Network recipe box that's on their website and in their app.
Right.
It's like, you know what I like to cook. You know
Right.
what I'm interested in. Like,
Let that follow me
change
around.
the site around what I'm interested in.
Right.
It's sort of to your point,
So
right?
that's
It's
a
like,
problem.
Like,
That's
I have
a
200
problem, and they're not doing
recipes
anything
here.
about-
You
Wow.
know you have
I
all
wonder
the data.
why they haven't done that.
I don't know. Let's go pitch them.
That would be a great idea, actually. Or I'm sure they're trying to look at it. But I think also a lot of these networks have legacy infrastructure that they just can't move fast enough. So someone else is going to come along
Totally.
and do it, which is already starting to happen,
That's
you
right.
know, with these sort of more niche, you know, like all these, I don't know what she called, the skinny something. There's all these Skinny Taste.
Oh, yeah.
And all these different sites now that are launching that are based on nutritional stuff. So you go to them every day for those things.
Right.
So it's all going to be personalized,
Yeah.
right? Which was a big theme at the Consumer Electronics Show, right?
I think that's what it is. It's personalization. It's convenience. Like, why are you making me do all the work with
Right.
your content?
Right.
Like, what I'm interested in. Just
And it's
give
true.
it to me.
It's true that anytime I'm doing something, if it's too hard in that environment,
Yeah, you move on.
I move on. That's right. God, that's true.
There we go.
Why aren't they coming to us?
I don't know.
Okay, hear us out there. Come to us. We know our stuff. anybody you want. So now let's go to our next segment.
Wow.
Nice,
Wow.
nice, sharp. This is called the What's the Scoop segment. And in this segment,
Okay.
I want to find out, like, Mark, how do you keep up with everything? Because this is the big question I ask everyone. You're obviously blending a lot of business categories, a lot of worlds.
Yeah.
You have all this great experience, but you have to keep up to date. And you also have 2 kids.
Yeah.
And
a wife.
And a wife who's we've mentioned a few times, the lovely Erin.
9 years.
That's 9 years.
Got to make it to 9.5.
Are you
then
in trouble?
Then I'm in charge.
Are you in trouble at all with her? Because you've mentioned
I'm
her.
always in trouble.
Oh, that's right.
It's just like, what am I in trouble for today?
Right. Oh, well, I can't wait to hear about that. But so, what do you? Where do you get your new information? How do you keep up with everything?
It was funny because I was thinking about that on the way over, and maybe I'm just old school, but I like talking to people.
Okay. So
You
your
know what I mean?
network. Yeah.
I think it's the network. There's different tools and websites and apps and stuff, that do a good job of trying to, cut through some of the clutter.
Yeah.
But still just clutter.
Right.
And, but the real thing is like, when you and I just sit down and chat about stuff, like,
Right.
then you get people's perspectives.
Right.
And,
so
and they
networking is
sort
really,
of challenge
really
response.
important.
Yeah. It's because I was even thinking like kids today, like they're on email or they're on Snapchat and they're just going back and forth. But like, you can't get emotions, and how do you really feel
Get
what people?
exchange.
Yeah, that passion that people are
Right.
interested in.
So do you attend a lot of events?
I talk to a lot of people. I attend a lot of events. Funny enough, I don't know if I should admit this or not, but when I was at Experian, my boss Mike used to call it dumpster diving.
Dumpster diving to go to events.
Well, because I would just go talk to people and ask like different questions, and he kind of used it for competitive intelligence as well.
Right.
So he kind of labeled me as a dumpster diver.
So you're going around picking up people's stuff.
Yeah, you just got to go around, pick up different things from different places.
Is that like when you're
stitch your own story together?
When you're broke, you go and find sandwiches in the dumpster. Is that the metaphor?
Hopefully not.
That's
but you know what? Like people, people kind of
finding the scoop out.
Finding the scoop out.
And what about,
because it's on one level, like people just tell you things.
Right.
I even tell guys on my team, it's like, go talk to vendors, go talk to people. They'll tell you everything you need to know. Like you don't need
Is
to.
it like being an anthropologist? Because that's something I tell the students all the time. Is
I think so. I mean,
be an explorer.
It's like Indiana Jones, right? You got to go hunt for it,
and have everyone fall in love with you and everything.
There you go. Yeah.
And use a whip.
And carry a whip.
And carry a whip.
You got to have the whip.
But what do you read, though?
I tried to rock a fedora once, but
you did?
Like,
Ooh, Ooh!
There's your whip.
Wow.
I think that was college or something.
I felt that one.
You felt that? I knew I had it somewhere.
That's cool.
No, but like from a from a practical standpoint, I mean, I subscribe to a number of research sites like Business Intelligence and stuff is pretty good covering.
So research
our
is really important. I think a lot of people stay away from it because it gets too in the weeds, but you extrapolate a lot from reading a lot of that.
I mean, I think part of the problem with research is I don't know if everyone needs like super in-depth research, but people need a certain level of it. And I think the research companies just don't make it accessible.
Right.
It's like
it's too inside.
Well, like how do you like are you going to pay $10,000 or $50,000 for a subscription? No. Right. It's just unrealistic. Right. Unless you're a big corporation. Right. But like I think they're missing like sort of the smaller market of individuals or consultants.
Totally.
It's like I'd pay $500 to access a few reports and get some data for a particular area that I'm interested in. Right. Versus like I'm not going to pay $3,000 for one report. Right.
Like because I personally love eMarketer so much, and it's so relevant for me. And I Trendmeister by reading their reports, and I'm doing some business with them, so I get access. But it would be great for anyone who's interested in a lot of topics to be able to just pick a topic and dig in.
Like you don't need the whole spectrum of what they offer. You need like one sliver.
Like pieces of it. And they're actually starting to evolve their model and make more stuff publicly free because they, to your point, they get it. Yeah. They understand that letting the content out will bring more people in. Yeah. And making it more accessible, because that's part of what I do as a Trendmeister is sort of translate that crazy deep stuff into thinking that is helpful and insights. So, all right, so you do some research?
So research, I think, is key. I think it's underrated. Obviously use sites like TechCrunch and, some of the more popular tech-oriented sites. I mean, I love staying on top of what startups are doing because I think that's really interesting.
Where do you go for that information? What are you reading there?
You know where I actually go? I think the best place is Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
No kidding. Yeah. You just go to the sites?
And Quirky.
You just go to the sites?
Yeah, you just go there because that's where all
Quirky I love. I love Quirky.
I mean, that's where you see real innovation happening and people coming up with great ideas. And some will work, some won't work.
And Quirky's model is that they basically they fund inventors.
They crowdsource you. It's sort of like, you remember those commercials on TV where like,
you have a good idea.
Yeah, patent it now, like with the guy with the what was that cartoon? Patent. No, what was the cartoon with the guy with the wheel, the caveman with the wheel?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I forget what that was.
I forget his name. I am caveman or something like that. I don't remember. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
This is sort of the modern day version of
Quirky also partnered with GE, and they're launching all these smart homes
that's
things.
Right. And Wink and so on.
And then they do stuff with just regular people. Yeah. So if you have a great idea, you can submit
it, and then they crowdsource if there's interest, and then they help you make it.
And in that way, you don't have to handle everything that you don't do.
That's right.
So smart. So Quirky.
Indiegogo, Kickstarter, those are great places. I mean, then, going to the conferences where you see a lot of startups, pitching and presenting.
So you go to startup conferences?
Yeah. So like yesterday, UCLA held one in particular. So they had 15 companies pitching for 3-4 minutes each, and you got through like 30-40 ideas, in a pretty quick period of time.
And one or two that you like pops out.
Yeah, and even if they don't have the right idea, it's sort of when
educational.
when I'm in that, it's more aspirational, right? Because when I'm in that environment, I'm thinking about my own idea, hearing how other people are looking at the world and things. I'm trying to process that myself.
Yeah. And they're still doing it today too, aren't they? Is it
there's always something going on?
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, and also I'm finding being around students is also really good. Like if you can teach younger folks, millennials, it's just right now. I think it's a really interesting way to like keep connected to all those new ideas. And any events that you absolutely have to go to that you feel like change your life every time you go, besides the ones that you and I are at. We're conference buddies.
The one that I used to love going to when I was at Experian was the Recode conference, or it used to be All Things D.
Yes, and they're doing
that was like one of the few conferences.
Walt Mossberg and Kara Swisher, right?
That was one of the few conferences
now it's
where
really expensive.
It's super expensive.
Yeah.
Now on a startup budget.
When you're an independent, it's like, what is it, like 9 or 10 grand?
It's like, I think the base ticket's like, I don't know, at least $7 or $8 grand.
Yeah, so maybe if I like sold a lung or something, I could go.
That's right.
But when you're not working at a large corporation, it's actually pricey.
That's right. Yeah.
But they do publish regularly.
Yeah, right after. I mean, they publish all their videos and stuff, so they're good. So even if you can't go, it's
right.
great.
So that's a really good one. And sometimes,
but even like CES is great too.
Yeah, CES is great. Yeah,
because now it's not just like going to the show floor.
Yeah.
But it's all the like other little things that are going on. And
did you speak at anything at this?
Yeah,
CES?
I was actually moderating a panel
on beaconing.
No, actually, it was on native advertising and stuff like that.
So a lot of the different topics that are bubbling up there. So
that's right.
CES, Recode, and then anything new that you've seen that you think is really relevant.
Conference-wise,
yeah. Well, there's definitely this content tech thing that I've been talking about forever that's starting to bubble up, but nobody's really captured it.
Wow.
A little surprise for you.
That's awesome. John has free reign.
There you go.
He's like Mr. Foley.
She said bubbling up, right?
There you go.
Bubbles.
You know what? I haven't really seen one particular thing. I mean, I think, again, just something unrelated to media is Health 2.0.
Yeah.
Which it's interesting to find now. Health 2.0 is a conference, actually.
Yeah.
And they encourage startups to come out, present, and show sort of the future of e-health.
Right.
And so, that's sort of the idea that more the entertainment industry needs, because we don't really have, Digital Hollywood's great, but it's all executives from studios and things.
Right. You want that sort of startup entrepreneurial piece.
I want to see 30 startups and hear all about their great ideas of how they're solving problems
in just the entertainment
ad tech,
space,
media tech.
Right.
That conference, I don't think really exists.
Right. And there are separate startup tracks inside of these bigger things, but they tend to be...
But it's kind of shoehorned over off to the side.
It's not totally agree with you. And also, I don't need it to be a fancy environment.
No.
But I don't also want to just walk on a show floor. I want it a little curated and also broken down for me.
Yeah, or even hear questions and stuff that, audience Q&A to these people and stuff like that.
That's really cool. So now where can we find out more about what you're doing with Location X?
So Location X, our website's locationx.io, so not .com, but locationx.io. We're trying to get the .com.
Okay. What does IO stand for?
Input output.
Oh,
it's a little techie, little geeky. Yeah. I'm throwing it back. So
Location X.
Locationx.io is the main site.
Is there any place you're speaking at or doing anything at?
Upcoming, I think in March, we're at one of the Digital Hollywood spin-off marketing conferences in New York coming up. So
right, and you're on the board of a Commerce Summit for iMedia.
And the Commerce Summit for iMedia. So have a few different things, and those are both heavily focused on beacons in terms of my roles. So
So beaconing is going to be the big thing coming up. Are you going to write a book on beaconing?
Well, we're actually starting to write some blogs. So
nice.
I'm sort of more of a fan these days of white papers and blogs.
Shorter form content.
Shorter form, more digestible, more come up with a thought, get it down, get it out there.
So Location X will have the blogs on it, people can get up to date on what's happening in the space.
And kind of follow our point of view, which is this, everything with an address should have a beacon. It's not about putting beacons inside. It's more putting beacons on things.
Got it. Love that. And then also you're going to be at UCLA.
That was not one of the ones. That was an error.
But yet timely.
Yeah, right.
It still works, baby. We'll work it into the content.
Okay.
And UCLA, you're a regular advisor there.
Yeah. So I even taught a class to the econ class or econ major folks recently.
What don't you do?
That
Erin is a lucky woman.
I gotta stay busy.
Well, let's have a big hand, studio audience, and all you fantastic women for Mark
Kapczynski.
Thanks, Lori.
Yeah. And we'll look out for the beaconing coming at us all over the place.
Thank
you.
This
is Lori H. Schwartz again, Tech Cat, bringing you tech trends impacting your business. Thanks for joining us again, and I know we'll be bringing you back.
Thanks, Lori.
Because you have so many interesting things. I wonder what the new tech trend business model will be when you come back. We'll have to wait and see.
Driverless cars.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends,